most important thing is like just like having that like faith in people and not like expecting too much in return. And there's always gonna be someone out there that actually will understand, will listen to what you gotta say or what you're dealing with. Because the most important thing that I learned, like to learn about like how to deal with these emotions, are to kind of put myself out there more, like giving out, being true what I'm dealing with, and not kind of keeping it inside and hiding it. And understanding more about these emotions is something that is gonna help you on the long run.
So, you don't have to give an exact name or anything, but what would you like everyone to know you by?
I mean, most people know me by, from what I've learned, is like I'm a pretty wholesome person, and always like, I guess, I've been kind of really fun to be around. But
so,
like,
no,
I don't know.
Your name. So like, what would people call you? Like, name, nickname.
Oh, Tony, just like that.
Okay.
Just like that. Just.
So Tony.
Tony. That's pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much what everybody calls me at this point. Even like in like games, every games, like I'm basically called like that in every game most of the time.
Tony
in game
Tiger.
It's like just that. Yeah.
Tony the Tiger or Tony the Mobster? But okay, so where were you born, and then where do you live right now?
I was born in South America, Peru to be specific, in like the capital area, like Lima.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like my origin place is in Peru, but I live right now in Norway. Mm-hmm. It's like really far northeast, I guess, or east of the country.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've actually lived in Norway since I was 7. So I moved from like my origin where I was born, like in Peru, to Norway about the age of 7 years old, if I can recall that. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
All right, and so you don't have to... Oh God, you're sinking through the floor.
Oh God, my tracker sometimes just moves its own way.
Oh God, it's a man-eating couch.
Yeah. I think I just back a little bit.
Okay, well, so that leads into the next question of, you don't have to give your exact age, or like you could give an age range. So, like how old are you roughly?
I'm about to enter the 30s.
Okay, early 30s?
Yeah, my early 30s, yeah.
You speak English, but, I'd ask everyone, what language do you speak, and like, are you learning any right now?
I know like 3 language. Like English is one of the ones that I'm mostly like to talk. Like since I'm in VR chat a lot, so I just talk English most of the time. Mm-hmm. And Norwegian is like one of my seconds, and one of my like I guess first language that I learned as a child was like Spanish. And what I'm actually interested in to learn, which you asked, I am interested to learn Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm gonna slap you with a really hard, difficult question that's going to destroy you. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite color?
Okay. My favorite color is red. I do like having like a second opinion opinion is like purple.
Mm-hmm. And why
Yeah.
do you like red and purple?
I mean, red was like one of the most favorite color that I had as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Purple came in, but in picture, I guess, when I started to like I guess any kind of things like this. For example, this avatar, I had it as purple, which some avatar that I didn't own at the time, but now that I got this, it's like I guess I could add up to it like to be purple eventually, but I am still learning how to like what's it called, like Unity stuff, like adding like shaders and stuff. It's something that I'm really wanting to learn sometime.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to say the least, though.
Okay.
But yeah.
So, last question before we get into whatever you want to talk about is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how truthful are you with yourself? 0 being I lie to myself all the time, 10 being I never lie to myself, I'm always honest. Scale of 0 to 10.
Probably would say 8, because I know that I do have some things that it's mostly not because I don't want to make people like worry, because I know worrying in general is really can make people feel like bad, or make their anxiety go up, or like it can do things with people, if that makes sense. Because I know from my experience that like I used to have issues with like dealing with that sort of things, and just to make it like not that I kind of not caring, but just showing that I am trying to imply that I wanted to make their like life less of a kind of I guess not too overwhelming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, from what I'm hearing,
Because
it sounds like you don't want to add any stress to people, or to be a burden to them by talking to them about what you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, if they ask me, that's for sure I would tell them. I mean, if they like getting deep in the question to that they want to know, well, like how I'm feeling, then I surely tell them. But if they're like asking like just like, are you good, like how are you doing, how your day been, I mostly would like answer that that I'm doing great. Because most of the time when I'm dealing with things, it's like it's whatever I put my mind to, and like that's a kind of mindset I've been trying to develop in like for the most time that I'm trying to be seeing what's like best way to solve things is something that I've been really like occupied with.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, from what I'm hearing, you're very preoccupied with trying to find the best solution to the problems that you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's something that I do. Like it's like I guess an intuition. I don't know if I got to tell you the last time I spoke with you. I guess like I didn't find the words for it, but it's like having this kind of back, like I guess subconscious thinking. I've been trying to work with that, because most of the time when I have like these kind of reactions like anxiety and depression, it's like I know that comes deep within like the subconscious mind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to work with that and trying to make things like that I can be aware of it before like it takes actually effect to my whole well-being. Because being in that state of mind where like one is anxious or depressed or like pretty much overwhelmed or stressed, is it's mostly because of the like subconscious mind is like we're like we're building our, like, I don't know how to actually, we created that kind of pattern, that thought to begin with, and that thought ended up to go to our feelings, and our feelings start to affect us, or like whole of our mood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, what I kind of heard from that is when we don't have a strong awareness of who we are and, and what we're experiencing, why we think what we're thinking, why we feel what we're feeling, it can really build up so much stress that it starts to derail our lives and cause, serious problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's right.
So that being said, you can jump into, whatever it is you want to talk about. From how these interviews have been going, usually people talk about like 1 to 3 issues, that they've either are dealing with right now or they've dealt with in the past.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything in mind?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get like what you meant with your question.
Okay. What problems would you like to talk about, past or present?
Problems.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I don't mind talking about past or present. I used to have like a really strong I kind of in denial to be in that sort of state, because at some point when I used to talk about the past, it's like kind of triggered me to feel really sad for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind at this point talking about like that kind of topic anymore, because I've kind of been talking about it so many times now that it doesn't make so much affection towards me anymore like it used to.
Desensitized.
Most people used to know. Yeah, most of my friends used to remember like one of me for like one of the guy that usually gets easily emotional.
Oh, okay.
But that's no longer the case. Like after me kind of putting to the side that that's no longer the issue. It's what like inside of my mind. I guess that's something that I've been trying to work in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but yeah, like your question, to answer your question is, I would probably talk more about like the future, or if that's what you were asking. I don't mind, like I said, about the past too. We could talk about that too.
Yeah,
that's really fine for me.
Whatever problem you would like to talk about in detail, and I am a counselor in training, but we're not doing therapy here. We're doing like coaching, and we're just like talking about it. We want to make this as helpful as we can for everyone watching. So, what problem would you like to talk about?
The only one, I guess, the problem that I would want to talk about is like, I can't come up in my mind. It's probably just like having like trust in general, because I know I used to have like at some point like trust issues. Mm-hmm. But not that is not the case anymore. Like I after realizing a few things, I guess that I shouldn't take things too serious. Like just trying to just see how things turn out, not getting so worked up about things. Okay. Like that's one of the things that I used to. Yeah. Most of the time, used to want to know more about. That makes sense.
So what I'm hearing is, in the past you've had issues trusting people, and then I'm sort of blanking. You had mentioned something else that was really important with would you be able to repeat? Sorry, I had to turn off the music because it was kind of gonna overpower your voice at some point.
Yeah, it's fine. I would say, what was it again? Like, most of the things that I remember that was my issue was like concerning over how things might turn out. Is one other thing. That's like a future thing.
So
But the
trust
other thing
issues and uncertainty of the future.
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt you. You said you had another one.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, that's about it. Like, I'll most likely. I would like to join to know a bit more about like gaining trust. That's also something I've been really curious to, because like I don't know if I got to tell you this, but I'm actually really intrigued to someday, or maybe one day, that I can learn like psychology, because I've been into that, like reading these kind of topics about how our mental state works, and it's mostly because that actually helped me a lot to deal with these kind of things, if that makes sense. So it's like something I really always enjoyed and really liked, and really like want to accomplish one day.
Well, you're in the right place. I am an avid studier, and I do my own research, and I try to learn as much as I can. So any questions you have, feel free. But from what I heard you say, you're wanting to know more about trusting other people, and then also building trust with other people.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I mean, it's kind of pretty much the same thing, because they have similar qualities or traits. So let's talk about building trust with trusting other people. So when you think about any person that's been in your life that you could rely on, what qualities does a trustable person have? So like somebody in your life that that you could count on, like what qualities do they have?
Like, do they supposed to have, or like do they have, like the people that I know so far? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, so like, do you have anybody in your life who you trust?
Yeah, I mean, I have like my family at this point. Like, the only ones that I trust is like my family, and a few friends, even a few friends that I know in VR chat, that I also put my trust to them. I guess my issue sometimes can be like that I'm really like kind of giving myself out really easily, like to trust people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like used to think negatively towards people, because after I learned that people do change in in certain times, like even I can, like, I guess to say to that it's like something that I've been actually working with, because in the past it's like I know that how I deal with things at that point is like something that I was processing, but now like looking back to it just reminds me a bit like to how I am dealing with things now. It's like much more relaxed and like not that much like that it used to be really like a huge problem versus now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what I'm kind of hearing from that is you used to think a lot about an issue.
Overthinking.
Yeah, you used to be really fixated and overthink about an issue, but now you sort of crossed into the territory of just looking at things, in a very relaxed state of mind. You're very calm.
Yeah.
And you take a more relaxed approach.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's right.
Let's see. It's so like you kind of there's kind of like a lot to take in that statement, and I was trying to remember what you had said on the first part. Oh yeah, okay. So you said with your family and some friends, and that you also trust a little bit too easily. And like there's we could talk about like any of those things. But first we could kind of hit all of them by knowing like what kind of person do you trust, and like what about them makes them a trustable person. So I'd ask, so what traits or qualities like allows you to trust somebody?
I guess the charisma, and they're like, I guess, what the kind of energy they're putting out at that point. I guess like I would say like a lot of people do things without the awareness of things. Like if they're like kind of reflecting bad behavior or something, I just immediately like would not like start a conversation with them 100%, because I would most likely avoid like the situation of having to deal with that sort of kind of what's called like drama, I guess.
Right. So I'm kind of hearing like, so you walk into a room, whether in person or in VR chat, and you see somebody doing something bad or toxic, and your first instinct is to just stay away from them because you don't want anything to do with that or any drama.
Yeah,
okay.
That's about it.
So that would be first thing is toxic behavior. So if you see toxic behavior, like that's it, I'm out, and you can't trust that person. What else would you see in a person that you can trust?
I would say it's like the way they treat me, I guess. Like if I'm being respected and like responded to, and I guess like it's like the way they show like how they interact with me, and that they are like being themselves. It's one thing that I really pay attention to. It's because I myself know that it's really hard for some, especially when they used to have like, I guess, social anxiety. It's something that I really pay attention to. But I also pay attention to all those people that, like, for example, mutes and people that do have social anxiety. They somehow, I don't know, somehow I kind of attract or like magnify that kind of like those kind of people for some reason. But I don't really mind, honestly, just talking with them. It just, I guess, enjoying the moment with them is something that I really appreciate, nonetheless. And it's like a lot of people that I got to know, but somehow, like, I guess I just don't get so worked up about it anymore. I used to do that in the past, but not that much anymore.
Getting worked up about what?
Getting worked up about like concerning over if they appreciate things, or about things that my head like sometimes thinks negatively about myself. Like, okay. I guess you would call it critical thinking, like self critical thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, so being very, very harsh on yourself, like, oh, did I say something that was offensive, or, you know, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
But so you never know because they're mute and they don't tell you. But just to recap what you said earlier, as far as, you know, things that you feel make somebody trustable is like, okay, are they actively listening to you, you know, paying attention to what you say and responding? You know, are they warm and bringing good vibes? So like, you know, are they pleasant to be around, and like, are they being themselves? So like, are they authentic? You know, are they not afraid to be who they really are? So on the flip side of that, if you run into somebody who's cold and callous and distant, and they're kind of just short with you, and they're like, yeah, I don't really care what you have to say, and maybe they're being fake, so they want to get something from you. And they're just like, oh man, you're looking really nice today, you know, so can you like come on Discord later and, you know, help me with this thing, you know? They people like that.
I would probably say I would
would
be having a hard time recognizing or knowing if that's like, because, you know, in VR chat it's really hard to tell if you don't, you know, we don't have like where we can watch each other, like, you know, in IRL circumstances, where you can see like your body movement and stuff like that, and like I guess face what is it called? Gestures.
Or non-verbal.
Non-verbal. Yeah.
Body. What's it called? Body.
Body gestures.
Yeah, body gestures. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm blanking so hard right now. But yeah, so you have these signs of somebody that, like, you know, is, you know, genuinely interested in, you know, getting to know you, and they care about you, and it's really important to be aware of the good and bad, so that, you know, if you have somebody coming up to you and one I wanted to point out is they're not reliable, they're inconsistent. So they'll say they'll hang out with you on Monday, and then they don't show up, and then they're like, oh, sorry, let's do it on Tuesday, and then they don't show up. You know, somebody who's not consistent, who's very flaky, is not somebody that you can trust, you know, in the long run. And it's not to say that people don't have things that come up in their life, but, you know, somebody who really cares will do everything in their power to make sure that they show up, or at least tell you that they can't show up, like, in advance.
Yeah, that's about like how I actually ended up learning. Just like it just the way you're saying it, like it just kind of remind me of I guess how I eventually just like watched how things have ended up. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's like through all these kind of relationships that I've been through, even if like it's a friend relationship, it's kind of something that I've much more been like aware and learned a bit more about myself. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have an idea of, you know, somebody that you can trust, and, you know, make sure they're not toxic, they listen, they're warm, they're reliable. So going back to what you said earlier, you know, like, talk a little bit more about how you trusted too easily. Like, what was going on in your mind and in your heart to where somebody would come up to you and say hello, and maybe you have common interest, and you're like, all right, you know, this guy's in. He's in.
Yeah. I guess I would say because of some certain relationships that I've been through, that I've actually giving my whole, like, I guess, like with good intentions, and like delivered like myself to that special person. I kind of put me on a spot. Like that's actually one of the things that eventually ended up me actually having a few trust issues, and was like the cause for me to eventually also develop anxiety. To be honest, it's like I said, like it's probably around 3 or 4 years since I actually started to kind of experience these kind of emotions, because I most of the time I used to like just not kind of get worked up too much about it, and after some certain time, after me like just going to in this kind of state where I was feeling things was missing, there was something wrong, I started to immediately like feeling all these kind of emotions, and it was getting to a point where I didn't know how to deal with it, and I also was starting to feel like I was like in a threat or something, that my life was like on the line, if that makes sense. And
Yes.
if I didn't do anything, I felt like things wouldn't turn out as I like wanted to be. I guess would say I had like a realization that I had to do something. If not, I wouldn't be able to like get to where I am at this point.
Okay, so
Because
yeah, sorry, I just before you go on for another 5 minutes, I want to make sure I understand where you're at right now. Okay, so what I heard from that is when you trusted people too easily, they would break your trust, and when they broke your trust, it caused you to start to worry. You know, can I trust them?
Yeah.
Are they going to be reliable? And this anxiety started to compound or just kind of stack on top of each other over time, to where you started to fear. You have like this strong fear about certain things, and in that you needed to do something about it. And if you didn't do something about it, like something bad was going to happen, or you would be in such a worried or depressed state. Bad state that you start to have the thoughts, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's
about right. Yeah.
That really emphasizes that you have to be careful who you trust, because look where it led you, and how much it hurt you.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, got that. So go on.
I don't know which part I was in. I guess I have like a lot to appreciate, even though I know that I've been like having a lot of relationship that has been some harsh relationships and good, some that I might not like lasted, and I'm not like looking at the negative side of things anymore. I'm basically at this point just, I guess, appreciating the time that I've been able to spend with them, even though it's been for like a little while. I do find it really like pleasing, at least like knowing them and having interacted with them and having this opportunity to know these kind of people, because I know that deep inside everybody are dealing with with something that is like really challenging for them, and I do wish the best for anybody. Like that's why I, like I said, wanted to learn more about psychology and been studying a bit like recently, but it's like I do find it really like makes me feel great if I can actually help others that are having a tough time. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So okay.
That explains a bit too. I guess my wholesome mood, and I guess like how I am like what is it called, radianting or radiance.
Yeah, you radiate good vibes, positive energy. You're a pleasant person to be around. And from what I heard you say before, even though you've maybe given trust to people who didn't deserve it, you still managed to have you still managed to see the good in all the toxic things that had happened. So you
Yeah.
understand that they were going through very difficult things, and that, you know, maybe they didn't mean to do what they did to you. And that's sort of like
Yeah.
what sparked your interest in psychology is, you know, when you can understand people, you know, it really takes the anger and the frustration and the anxiety out of everything.
Yeah.
You have more of
Yeah.
a calm understanding about, you know, what's going on. And like once you had that understanding,
Exactly.
you were able to just appreciate all of the good about about spending time with them. So
Yeah.
you appreciated all of the good moments, and now you can sort of relish those, you know, as you move forward in your life.
Yeah. That's about right. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the turning point or the change in your life that started to make you think differently about how you trusted people?
It
Like,
was. It was. I guess. Turning point was about the time where I actually started to commit to myself in general, because unfortunately enough, I didn't have so much I guess faith in me at some point before I actually had this turning point. I started to kind of put myself out there more, like just without like knowing or expecting anything in return. I just gave my all to people that I got eventually to know, and I know it's some certain relationship might actually led me to go through some certain traumas. I guess, like, since I know everybody has like traumas from their past. That actually taught me like a valuable lesson to how to actually deal with these things, and how to appreciate those things that I've been experiencing, or like with them, like in this relationship, like within this little journey that I've been through.
mm-hmm.
Like the I guess me realizing a lot of things about what I didn't know, if that makes sense. And I know that I still do have a lot of things to learn, even if like I've learned a few things now. There's always anything out there that we can learn about
Mm-hmm.
and to appreciate, of course.
Okay, so let's see. So, so what I kind of heard from that is the turning point was when you felt like you didn't have a whole lot of confidence in yourself, and that there's a day where you're like, I need to do better, and you committed to becoming better and growing and learning, and you know, in this journey of growth, you've sort of talked to other people, you know, about their issues, and you've reflected on your own issues, and you've kind of gained a better understanding of like why people are the way they are, and and in that journey, you develop like an awareness of people who have like a similar mindset, or people that, you know, that you could trust. And you know, it's at that point that you realize like you weren't going to go back to just trusting anybody, and that at the same time, you're for the people that you can trust, you were trying to give your all to them rather than hiding some things away. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next thing I guess we could jump into is, you said how to build your trust with other people, right? So how do other people trust you?
Yeah.
Well, based on what we just talked about, you know, let's just ask the question right there before we jump into it. So, you know, what can you do to help other people trust you more?
I guess just like being genuine to them, like just being truthful and showing that I like care and paying attention to what they're saying, and also showing that you are like interested in knowing about their life or what their life situation have been. Yeah.
Right. So all the same things that you would find in trusting another person would be the things that you need to do when you're meeting with them. You're warm, you're authentic, you're friendly, you're listening to what they say, and I would throw in reliability and really just being there for them, and those those things all sort of go into one. And then again, so trying not to be toxic, being aware if what you're doing bothers people. so I'd really highlight that one. Be aware of what you're doing and how it affects other people. I'd say a number one offender is something that maybe you're used to saying negative things because it's like an insider joke to you, but you go up to somebody and you say the same thing, and like they hate that because like they need support and positivity in their life and like whatever challenges that they're dealing with, and like they perceive it differently. So like your perception is not it's not the same as the other person's. Like for example, I had a friend come into my world when I was just testing some things, and he was just not being supportive of me trying to help many people around the world. He was saying like, oh yeah, like not many people on VR chat are going to talk about their issues and this and that, and it's just like I don't need that kind of I don't need that in my life. Like it's not like I'm going to be like, okay, we're not friends anymore, but like I don't like when people come in and just start bringing all this negativity and doubt, and on top of that, it's just like it does it weigh me down? Not really, but like if I surrounded myself with that type of people, that would really hurt over time. So
yeah, I get what you mean.
And he's not he was not aware of what he was doing, like at all. And like I have to tell him every now and then, like, hey, so when you say that, it's actually like you're being Mr. Debbie Downer right now. It's not fun to be around. And some people just don't know. Like another person I talked to, somebody had to point out to him that when he was talking to people, he was being very cold and short, and this person came to hang out with him, and then they left early because they felt like he didn't care. So again, really want to be aware of like what you're doing and how it affects other people. Yeah, a bit of a rant, but like I just had to get that one out there. Okay.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like it's not like basically just like not supportive at all. It's the word you're coming to.
Yeah.
Like I guess I would say too, like I always like to be supported, like, but since I mean this is like a bit personal, but I didn't have that much of support from my parents, which it's like understandable. It's I guess something that I eventually had to build by myself and support my own like desires and my own like will, like wants, of course, and needs. But still, like I don't look at it like the negative way. I know they wish for me the best, but I used to have a bit like that's both basically what I explained to, I guess, me learning the harsh way, if that makes sense. And I know it's been like hard, but I still like ended up and told them that I appreciate and really love them for the way, like even though I know it's been harsh and they probably had a few things they've dealt with and didn't know how to deal with. But I don't look at the negative side of things with that. I just try to stay positive and just not arguing too much about it when they're like having some I guess things they're dealing with that is like making them upset. I try always to remain like in a positive manner and solving things that way, like in a positive manner, is what I feel like is most right for me to do, if that makes sense.
Okay. I definitely, my brain got jumbled up in that one. So what I kind of heard from that is okay. So you have some people in your life that they try to support you, but sometimes the way they support you is not really good or helpful. And like you see that they're trying, and you try to tell them like, hey, so it would be better if you supported me in this way, and maybe you weren't so pushy or forceful with the way that you're trying to help me. And you're also talking about how you recognize that they're also going through different things, and that you try to work with them about their issues at the same time. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
So these are both problems that you've dealt with in the past, right? Like, so
Yeah.
You now are selective about who you trust, and you feel as though that you know how to build trust with other people.
I want like to give the message that like there's always gonna be someone out there that can actually help with that. Just like I guess like the most important thing is like just like having that like faith in people and not like expecting too much in return. And you know there's always gonna be someone out there that actually will understand, will listen to what you gotta say or what you're dealing with. Because the most important thing that I've learned, like to learn about like how to deal with these emotions, are to kind of put myself out there more, like giving out, being true what I'm dealing with, and not kind of keeping it inside and hiding it. And understanding more about these emotions is something that is gonna help you on the long run, especially if you never actually felt or wanted to go into that kind of things, because I know those topics can get pretty much overwhelming, and I know like from my own experience that it's really like can put you on a state of depression, like, and sadness, and it's always a way to go through it, and we all kind of have our up and downs, and like it's always important to also look at the like the positive, like that there's always gonna be a better day that might change that kind of perspective. I will like to say that I believe that there's always something better out there. Just like the patience is like really something we have to I guess work with, and appreciate more the times we spend with people.
Patience,
just enjoying life.
Patience, consistency, perseverance, so striving to continually think positive and take responsibility and do, you know, better in our lives, and remembering to, you know, have fun in life. So,
Yeah.
not staying stuck, in the hole that you're in, but having the strength and determination to, to climb out of it is kind of, what I got from that. And that was definitely, very,
Yeah.
very beautifully said.
Yeah.
So it's funny. That's actually the part that I throw near the end of the video, and you just answered it right now.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, So what I say is like, I'm like, hey, so what would you like to say to all the viewers? And you're like, nah, I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, so I asked if you had anything else that you'd like to talk about, any problems. But it sounds like you're, it sounds like you've kind of talked about like all you want to talk about. So I'll just kind of rewind to the question section. So any questions you have about psychology, things that you've been through, seen other people go through. Yeah, what questions, would you have?
What I would like to know is more about like, I guess, our subconscious mind, how that works out. Because I've been trying to learn more about it, but it's like really complicated, to say the least.
Okay, so, what is the subconscious, or what is it about? How does it work? So I'll try to summon the knowledge I have about it. I want you to think of your mind as like a tea kettle, right? And the more
yeah,
with steam, right? And when it fills up with steam, it's gotta let it out, and it's gotta burst, right? So the first thing about our subconscious is as you go through life and you have different triggers for, something that makes you happy, sad, angry, whatever, imagine steam is, God damn my mic, steam is going into the pot. So eventually it's going to get too full if you don't talk about your issues, if you don't, process things and work through them. Your teapot is going to get so full that it just has to burst. And this is basically a mental breakdown, going into a blind rage, crying, whatever it may be. And you have to open up that teapot and let the steam out. And what I'm hearing a lot of people do is their pot will be really full, and they'll lift the lid off for like just a second, and then they'll put it back on. And then they're ready to blow up again, like literally in the next hour or the next day. So you collect, numerous thoughts and feelings that is in your subconscious. It's like a bank or like a storage, right? And your storage can only hold like 30 slots. And once those 30 slots are full, the incoming thoughts and feelings, they got to go somewhere else. So that will be like in your body. You'll start to shake. You'll get really sore, tired, fatigued. You're anxious. You'll start to get sick because you aren't processing anything that's been happening to you, anything new that's going on with you. It doesn't have any place to go because it's closed off, so it can't get in. So it's like, okay, well, if I can't be processed, then this is going to turn into a panic attack because it has nowhere else to go. So basically, our subconscious is like, an inventory in a game. But you have to clean your inventory as much as possible because it's really dangerous if you let it get full.
I see. Like it's like not like good for your health, so to speak.
Yeah. It's really unhealthy to bottle things up and let your subconscious inventory get full. So that's why you got to talk about it. You might have to get therapy. You have to cry. And things that, let's say if you were to add, like in different MMOs, you add a backpack and you have more space. Your backpacks are getting good sleep, exercising and eating healthy, you know, things that go well with your system and don't cause inflammation or burning in your stomach is a easy sign. So like those are your 3 backpacks that allow you to have more inventory space because they're like buffs. You know, you're well fed and rested and you're feeling good and you can handle more.
Yeah.
You can actually become really aware of your subconscious through like mindfulness. So being aware of what your body is feeling, how it relates to your feelings, you know, being present in the moment. You can really develop a strong awareness to where you can process things in like, you know, like a, you know, just a second. Like, oh, I don't like that person and what they did, so that made me angry. And you've already processed it. So like, imagine that angry feeling. It's like, okay, you're 1 out of 30, and now you're 0 out of 30 because you process it like in an instant. But a lot of people will sort of be like, that makes me angry, and then like they just hold on to it. They don't really think about why it makes them angry. So, you know, angry, sad, fun, you know, funny, whatever, and then soon they're full because they don't take the time to process. And usually when people are so busy, they're like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it at my lunch break or the end of the day, or maybe they don't, because if I process like 10 heavy things or 10 inventory slots at once, that might cause me to cry. And I can't cry because I gotta go to work and give a presentation, or, you know, I can't cry in front of my guy friends because they'll think I'm a pussy, you know, that I'm weak. So
yeah.
So you run into problems like that. So
Mm.
those culture problems cause our inventory to get full, and then we're fucked,
Mm-hmm.
because then we break down, then we got to go to the hospital, then we got to, you know, have like an emergency visit with a therapist. Don't let your inventory get full. That's like, if you had to know anything about your subconscious, process things, talk about it, get it done right away, because you never know how busy your life is going to get, and you don't, like, you struggle to find time to do that. Like, it's tragic. People, I noticed that people really don't take the time to process, and how detrimental that is.
Psychology view about like how therapy works, because I was always told that I was supposed to do that, but I never did, because I had faith in that I would that I faith in that I would be able to kind of manage it by myself, because like you said, like that subconscious thought, like there's like always a way to kind of preserve the outcome of it, like knowing those kind of emotions that comes in, even if it's like anger or sadness or like a trauma, so to speak. I eventually got the awareness of how actually it, like when it was like coming to effect, I felt something inside my body, or like within my body, that something needed to be done. And when I used to feel that emotion, I just immediately try to kind of focus on the present moment. That's when I start to, I kind of, I guess, look at things and trying to be more, I guess, aware of my existence in this lifetime, and just not trying to get, like, not letting that kind of take over my whole like mood and put me down, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's something I remember you had a bit challenging time to notice that. Yeah.
So what I kind of heard from that is, as things come in, you recognize it, you became aware of it, and then you shifted yourself to the present moment. So that's kind of like mindfulness. You're aware of it, you accept it, you don't judge it, and then you let it go. So, I mean, much like you see here in this world, you know, everything is still.
Yeah.
This is how we want the inside of ourselves to be, because, you know, if we try to control our emotions, right? So we're splashing the waves, you know, that doesn't help us find peace. That just makes things worse.
Yeah.
But if we want the water to be still, we have to just accept it. We acknowledge it, we don't judge it. We accept it, we breathe.
Mm-hmm.
and let it go.
Yeah. Exactly.
The only thing that comes to mind is like, what's the hardest problem that you've dealt with in your life, and then how did you deal with it?
I guess my hardest problem was like overcoming my fears in trusting people. I guess, yeah.
And
Just
oh,
like, yeah.
okay, so overcoming the fear and trusting people. Um,
Yeah.
what did that fear look like, and like how did it affect you?
It was really bad. I mean, it affected me where I'm most of the time just didn't feel right. Like my body was like, I was also, I guess I could, from what I can recall, is like I felt my own heartbeat. Like I could hear my own heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, I guess, to the point where I guess at some point I also had a few like suicide thoughts, which I never did. But I mean that's like a bit like different story how that turned out. But
Mm-hmm.
I learned a bit from it. Like it kind of put me in a state where like I probably I was having like all these negative thoughts, and it wasn't good at all. And definitely had like a lot of issues with it at certain points, and that kind of created me having this kind of anxiety and stuff like that.
What I heard from that is your fear of trusting, different people, like, because it sounded like you at different times of your life you needed support, and when you went to go get support, you may have trusted people that didn't deserve it, or you were too easy to give your trust, and then dealing with this fear of like, can I really trust this person or not, started spawning a lot of a lot of negative thoughts, and the more this happened, the worse things got, the more anxiety you felt, and then you just kept getting to a lower and lower point until you started having the thoughts of ending your life. And now we would flip to the other half of, all right, so it was getting really bad. What helped you get through it? What pulled you out of this?
I guess a lot of people that I met in VR chat, and especially like family was playing a huge part, but it wasn't. I know they wished like to help, but it was like, I guess something like some challenging times for them too, because I know they didn't know, but I mean, I guess like I got really caught up with it, and at some certain point I had like some hard times kind of expressing that to others, or like expressing how I was feeling at that time. And I don't blame anybody. I mean, I know that I was dealing with that, like that it was really bad, and I didn't even know how to kind of put the words out, if that makes sense. So it was really hard for me at some point, like to kind of express it, because I didn't know what it was or what I was dealing with at some certain point. And what helped me to get through it was like all these friends that I got to know in VR chat, and they helped me get through it. I know it's been like really tough sometimes, but I really appreciate that they've been really patient with me, even though I know that it's been really tough sometimes for them, and been really like a lot and overwhelming, But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, what people can do, like friends, even friends and family are they always, there's always somebody bound to like stick up with you, like with what you're dealing with, And I still like want to give out that I really appreciate all of the effort they're putting out, like energy and love and care and their generosity, like, so to speak. And
So in life, we have to sometimes take leap of faiths, whether with where we go, what we do, and who we trust. Take it away.
Yeah.
And there he goes. Oh god, he's gotta get oh my god, he's gotta be getting sick right now. God,
Oh my god.
Dude, you started doing all those loop-de-loops, and I'm like, dude, there's no way he's not sick right now.
I the first time it was much worse, but this time, I mean, it's not that bad, but still, like, I know, like, when I'm like looking around, that's when I start to feel that, like, what is it, like, sick
Yeah,
feeling.
nausea.
Oof. Nausea, yeah.